I'm Joe Thompson. I'm going to talk about the contemporary issues in sport, which is this is Unit 12, P4. Okay. First of all, contemporary issues. Contemporary issues in sport are problems which are currently affecting sport. In this time, I'm going to discuss some of the current issues in, well, particularly football, but in sport in general as well, and how they affect sport, and what is out there to prevent them taking place or to prevent the impact of them, make them a bit less serious. These are going to be in the form of deviance, gender, politics, health initiatives, and racism. Okay, first of all, deviance, which is also known as cheating. So in sport, deviance is behaviour which differs from the social or legal normative. So in football, it will be from the rules of the game, so it's essentially cheating or breaking the rules. This is the most common form of deviance, cheating. It is breaking the rules of the game to play to your advantage. This is obviously a disadvantage because it takes away the enjoyment of the game and also the competitive edge in matches. In football, cheating still takes place even on the biggest stage in the form of diving. This is when players pretend to have been fouled, so they'll throw themselves to the floor and hope the referee will give them a foul. Like they generally do in the penalty areas, try and win a penalty, which can obviously be a game-changing decision. Players who are renowned for doing it for the likes of Ashley Young for Man United, Neymar for Brazil or Barcelona. Yeah. Deviance has a really bad effect on the players as well because it affects their players' reputations. So it sets bad role models, which obviously affects grassroots football as well because the younger kids are looking up to their role models on the big stage and they see them diving, they're going to want to dive as well. And also referees, it makes referees' job a lot harder than what it should be because they're, instead of seeing a foul and thinking, yeah, that's definitely a foul, they're in the back of the mind something saying, or are they diving, they're looking out for different things. It makes it more difficult to ref. Okay, gender. This is another big contemporary issue in sport, but for a number of reasons. A couple of them, sport is generally male-dominated, and also there's a lack of female role models. Male-dominated sports, particularly football, is very male-orientated. A lot more funding goes into the male side of the game than the female side of the game. It also gets a lot more TV coverage. This is obviously negative for the female game because it's less popular, less people watch it, and also there are less opportunities for females to get involved. Because there's not a lot of TV coverage, there's not many female role models. There's loads of. If you ask someone to give an example of a male football role model, they'd be able to do it instantly. But females, they might struggle a bit more because they're on telly less, they get less TV coverage, they're in the media less. So because football is mainly male dominated, all the big names which associate with football are males. For example, Cristiano Ronaldo, Lionel Messi were arguably the two best players in the world. And this has a bad effect on the game because it will decrease participation of women, as less will have players to aspire to be like at a young age. Female players are obviously always looking up to role models to aspire to be like and to want to play like. The female game also needs to be more publicised to create these role models and to gain more funding, creating greater opportunities for women, more equal to the men's game. Because at the moment, obviously, the women's game is a lot less. Again, they're not in the paper as much. The only time that it's televised is the FA Cup for women, whereas in the men's league, obviously, you get League One, League Two, Championship, Premiership. All of them are televised nearly every week. Another example of where they're not in the media enough is the FIFA Goal of the Year, and there's actually a woman contender this year. The favourite to do it is a woman, but hardly anyone will have heard of her because of a lack of media coverage. And obviously she'll be contending with the big names like Ronaldo and Messi and Rooney, players like that. Okay, politics. Politics has a large effect on sports, particularly in schools. Different political parties have different views on the importance of sports in school. The Labour Party has always funded school sports and has created loads of jobs within secondary schools. So that's like sports coordinators, sports ambassadors, stuff like that. Since the Conservatives taken over in the past 6 years, they've cut funding for sports in schools, getting rid of loads of jobs. So they're basically schools are running off bare minimum, so they've just got your standard PE teachers. This means that the opportunities for young people within sport are very much limited because there are less role models. There are less roles for coaches, and also less funding for equipment. The amount of funding different sports get, whether it be general sports within schools or club level sport, determines how much equipment it gets. So obviously, the more funding that goes into it, the more specialised equipment it will get. This obviously affects grassroots football as well, because you get different clubs that some will get funded by the government, and the more equipment they get, the better. Generally, the better players they'll develop, because there are more opportunities. Conservatives cut funding for sports, so equipment of sports clubs and schools has become limited, also limiting opportunities to develop for young people. Moving on to health initiatives. There are different health initiatives which have an effect on sports. For example, smoking, drinking alcohol, and having an unhealthy diet. Smoking has a bad effect in a few ways. Firstly, it has a poor effect on performance. When people smoke, their lungs become weaker and less efficient. This means attributes like tidal volume become smaller or less. So when playing sports like futsal or football, this will have a negative effect on performance because waste products are removed from the body slower, which is like there is a build-up of lactic acid in the muscles, which acts as poison. So it's harder to do strong muscular contractions quicker. Smoking can also create poor player profiles. For example, in football, there's Jack Wilshere, who's a professional footballer who's been slated in the media recently because he openly smokes in public. As a role model to young kids, this obviously sets a very poor example, especially players that look up to him, aspire to be like him. The young kids are going to get the wrong impression, and they're going to be encouraged to smoke as well, which obviously has very bad effects on lifestyle. Drinking alcohol also has a negative effect on sports. However, this time it's mainly about image. Drinking alcohol has a very bad effect on health in general. So when professional athletes are seen to go out drinking alcohol, it sets a poor example for younger kids or people who look up to them.